This time, we're working on this Toyota pickup truck. So, we're still getting the PO336 crankshaft position sensor code. I've done some research online, which means just basically browsing the internet to see what other people have encountered with this. And apparently it's a fairly common problem. And it can trigger that code if the distributor timing is off. We verified all the mechanical timing. We know the crankshaft sensor is clean. We've told it's been replaced, that it's new. So we haven't verified yet the distributor timing. So we're going to verify that, or at least check it and see where we're at, and at least cross one thing off our list. When you're checking base timing, you got to disconnect that. So I looked it up, and to disconnect the timing advance, to check the base timing, you go to the diagnostic connector here and you connect terminals E1 and TE1, which is what we have here. So those terminals are jumpered since I don't have the Toyota diagnostic tool. And then you start it up and check and adjust your base timing. So let's see where we're at with that. Okay, the internet, and the internet never lies, you know. The internet says base timing with those pins shorted should be between 3 and 7. And then actually, if you check it with them disconnected, it should be around 10 degrees. So actually, we're spot on. Yeah, okay. Let's pull that and move on to the next step, which is see if we can find anything on the live data from our scanner as we run it. That's with the ignition on, engine not running. Intake air temperature 81, that's about right. Airflow is 0.1, that's probably a base reading. System calculated load is 0, that's good because the engine's off. ECT is 169. Spark advance, that's just the base 5. The spark advance hops right up like it's supposed to. Telling me spark advance 27. So as I accelerate, now we're at 31, 41, 43, 34 as we lower the RPM. Now we're at 13.5, now 11, now 9. 8.5. I've checked out everything with the crank sensor I can think of. I have checked out most of the other sensors, the TPS, the MAF, all of those. I've checked the live data, and it all appears okay. I'm getting correct RPM readings, which makes me believe that all the sensors are working and everything. Okay, now, apparently, my research indicates there's two main codes for timing failures in these, and that's a PO335 and a PO336. The PO335 appears to be the actual malfunction code when something's wrong in the sensor wiring. The PO336 appears mainly to be when there's a disagreement between crank and cam sensor. And this does have a cam sensor, which I learned. It's just inside the distributor. It's kind of a rudimentary, it's down there. It's basically just a pin on the shaft, and when that rotates into alignment with the sensor, it kicks the signal out. So I have done everything on this to verify timing, except we never pulled the distributor and we never pulled it apart until now. So I pulled it apart, and I have the engine set at top dead center firing on 1, and I know it's firing on 1 because this is spark plug 1. And when the cap's on like that, the rotor should be pointed at it, which it is. Now the engine runs, so I know all that part of it is good. But if you look at this rotor, there's such a wide firing range on this thing that you could be one tooth off on this and it might still run really good. And so now we're at top dead center, and I know you can't see it down there, but we were like exactly on the 0 mark, which means everything should be aligned, you know, perfectly for base timing. Obviously the advance isn't active right now because the engine isn't on. So if you look down in here, you can see that the sensor's down there and it points basically horizontal. And our sensor right now is pointing, well, it's pointing up in the air. So it's not aligned with the sensor. Now I have looked as much as I can on the internet to try to find where that thing is supposed to be pointing at top dead center. And, well, I can't really find much. There's not a whole lot that's helping me out. But I'm thinking it should be, well, closer to that center, to that sensor at top dead center, which means I think we're a tooth off about this way. Now if I look at it, put the rotor on, we're, you know, I don't know, a little bit off. I mean, we're almost vertical on the rotor, and if you look at this, these are set at 90 degrees, these points inside the cap. And I'm thinking it should be more that way along with the cam sensor. So I'm thinking we're a tooth off. So basically what I'm going to do is pull the distributor as a test. Now I know I can't really hurt anything doing this because the mechanical timing is okay. The only thing we might get is a backfire or something if I get it too far off, and of course it won't run. I'm going to pull the distributor off and back it off one tooth on the distributor gear and put it back in again, and we'll see what happens. Without any real data or manuals on this thing, it's pretty much just guesswork. So I'm sure there's people out there on the internet right now who know exactly what they're doing and are saying, wait, don't do that. Well, I don't have the manual and I want to get this thing running, and I can't really hurt it doing this, so that's what we're going to do. Captain's log, stardate 2022.2.13, update. Corollary to the update, I just 2 seconds ago went to, you know, pull the distributor bolts and bolt here, but there's no lower bolt down here where they're supposed to be. So yeah, someone has definitely had this distributor out before, so I'm leaning towards that is probably maybe sort of kind of what our problem is. So I'm gonna pull the one remaining bolt, maybe see if I can find another bolt when we put it back in, and yeah, that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna pull the one remaining bolt here. Now, when you put a distributor in or pull it out, the shaft rotates a little bit because they're helical gears. So you kind of gotta plan ahead a little bit and kind of point it a little bit in advance of where you want it. Yeah, firing order is 1 3 4 2. So we're gonna go 1 3. So we're going counterclockwise as we rotate. So basically what I want to do is rotate it a little bit backwards. So when I put it in, I'm going to put it a little bit in advance. So you can kind of see as you pull it out, it's going to rotate, so you can kind of see what you're going to wind up with. So basically you just want to take it back one tooth, back to there, or back a little bit. So that's one tooth. I don't know. Put our one bolt back in. You really ought to replace the distributor O-ring when you do this. I didn't pull it completely out. This is kind of a test thing. Unfortunately, of course, anytime you play around with this, there's a lot of screws to take out and put back in every time you make an adjustment. I did check the shaft sensor down there for cleanliness, and everything was good in that regard. Again, I don't think it's a sensor malfunction. Alright, let's see what happens. Should have had you in here with me when I was starting it up. No check engine light, no trouble codes. We're back to normal. That was the whole problem with this thing. Well, that'll do it for this project. She's a nice little rig, but it's time to give her back to the customer. If you like what we're doing, feel free to subscribe to the channel to see other videos, other projects we're working on. And we always appreciate it if you hit that like button or leave a comment down below. And we would really appreciate it if you'd subscribe, because that really makes us happy. And thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.